Now, there are a couple of reasons why I love this phone, and a few things I miss as well. And I feel you would definitely agree with me. So let's talk about it. Battery is a clear and obvious reason to buy the iPhone XR. It was from its, infancy regarded as the best battery on any iPhone. In 2021, it still lives up to its standard. And I do believe that it competes with the new iPhones, the 12s actually. So I would say battery is definitely like an A+. And even though the iPhone XR doesn't have any of the fast charging technology that we see, in modern Android smartphones, it doesn't really matter. If my phone, takes me 2 hours to fully charge, but lasts me the entire day and I don't have to worry about charging, then I don't know, it's kind of like the same thing, pick your battles. In the last 10 days, I was averaging about 9.5 hours of screen on time. I mean, I probably was charging in between, but you get the point. It's clearly a one-day phone. There were so many times when I just didn't bother to charge. Like, I can literally count to my fingers how many times this phone died on me. It's just a really good battery. Now, people would tell you, don't buy a smartphone based on the promise of software updates. But with Apple, things are kind of different, And when you're buying an iPhone, especially when it's an older iPhone, you do consider how many years of software updates it has left on it. And with the iPhone XR, I would say, for as long as you own the iPhone XR, for as long as a normal person would keep a phone, the iPhone XR would continue to have the latest iOS version. I do believe that. I mean, in 2021, surprisingly, the iPhone 6s still would be getting iOS 15. So just imagine, the XR is probably set for the next 4 years. And I don't know if you're going to keep your phone for more than 4 years, but if you are considering buying the iPhone XR in 2021, and software support is definitely a thing on your mind, then you're good to go. Software is, I don't know, about 8 out of 10. Now, throughout my usage, there have been some iOS bugs, and they have been fixed. And it's not something peculiar to just the iPhone XR, it's a general thing. So, don't expect like completely perfect software. There would be glitches here and there, but it's not that big a deal. Performance, that is no question if you ask me. The XR has the same processor, the A12. You would have no issues running multiple apps, playing high-intensive games. I mean, aside from the slight software glitches, slight iOS glitches, I would say performance was pretty seamless. You can open up to 6, even more apps, and when you return to the first one you opened, it would still return. Like, it would continue. It's like seamless. Yeah, it has 3 GB of RAM. Even though it sounds like a low number by today's standards, it's actually really good. It's a very powerful smartphone. Camera. Now, first of all, the iPhone XR has the same sensor and the XS and the XS Max, which were like the flagships, if you might call them that. So yeah, same sensor, same 12 megapixel sensor. It was a really good camera. Back in the day, it was the best iPhone camera. The only thing I might complain about, and I definitely will mention, is the lack of options. It's not a versatile camera. Now, it only comes with just one sensor, sadly. And in 2021, most smartphones at least come with 2 cameras. Some come with a lot more. So to have a phone, in 2021 that doesn't let you take telephoto shots, or more importantly, ultra-wide shots, that might be a downside, or might be considered a downside. So if you're that type of person whose main focus is camera, pun intended, then yes, the iPhone XR isn't, really one that you would consider, I would say. But if we are just looking at the quality of the photos taken on this smartphone, well, it's everything you would expect. Yeah, and even though the iPhone XR, you know, doesn't even have a night mode, it still does well. I mean, sure, if you just point and shoot, it wouldn't do well. But if you adjust the settings, you know, set your focus, reduce the exposure, you would be able to get decent shots at night, actually, with the iPhone XR. I would say cameras, it's really good, but then, you know, lack of options. So let's just settle at 7.5 out of 10. Now, design is weird. Really, it is weird, because some people consider the iPhone XR as a budget iPhone. It does actually kind of look, you know, cheap, somewhat. But the fact that you're probably going to put a case on it just kind of, you know, levels the playing field, if you ask me. And the iPhone XR also comes with like a lot more color options, about 6 different colors. And even though it's not with like very little bezels and, you know, a sleeker design like the Android phones that we see, it's an iPhone, and I think that on its own is an A+ for the design, if you ask me. But I would say, yeah, 7. Yeah, sadly, a 7 out of 10 for design on the iPhone XR. Now, you've probably been waiting for this one, the display. The iPhone XR had the most controversial display. So it was a 720p LCD display. And on paper, that sounds really bad, you know, for a $700 phone at the time, or $750 phone at the time. But I would say this, the XR has the best LCD display I've ever seen. The best 720p LCD display. And on YouTube, you can actually watch 4K videos. It's a good display, I'll just say that. If you're using this phone like everybody should, you wouldn't focus or worry too much about, I don't know, the deep blacks or the fact that it's not OLED. Now, if you are someone who's coming from an OLED phone, an OLED iPhone, you would definitely notice that, yeah, there's a bit of a dip in quality of the screens. And like I said, it's not that big a deal. I was someone who felt, yeah, I couldn't use the XR because of the display. But now I'm using it, and 9 times out of 10, I just don't remember that it's not OLED. I don't really care because I'm just using my phone, you know. But yeah, the screen is definitely not as good as premium top tier quality. And if you're that type of person who fancies a really good display, yeah, that would be something to note. And let's be honest, the XR is kind of behind in the display game. I would say 7.5 for the display. So a B in the display. Now, some other things that you might want to note. 1, the iPhone XR is slippery. A lot slippery. There was this little instant. So I was recording, so I think I was actually taking a video, and my phone was in my pocket without a case, and I just bent a little, just a little bit. I just bent a little, and yeah, the phone just like slipped out and landed on the floor. And I was like, okay, that's the end of my life. But thankfully, it didn't crack. It was just the aluminium frame that got hurt. But thankfully, nothing serious happened. So I quickly just got a case on it. So I would say yes, please get a case on it. Now, price. You can still get the iPhone XR brand new, and you can get it directly from Apple for $500. And you can get the XR used, or I guess renewed, for about $300-ish, $330 probably, just above $300 for the XR. Still 64GB. So I think that's pretty cool. The issue though is the iPhone 10 goes for around $380, you know, just under $400. So they're kind of close in price, and that might make people, you know, consider the 10 and not the XR. But in case you're wondering, like, which one's for me? Should I buy the 10 or the XR? I actually did make a video, which I would link somewhere, which you can click and watch after this video ends. And yeah, I think that's really all about it. The XR is still a really good phone in 2021, most especially because of that battery. The battery plus software support, plus I guess a pretty good score in every other single department, especially in camera, you know, I would say, yeah, it's still definitely one that if you buy, you would have no problems with for the next 3-4 years. But yeah, if you did enjoy the video, drop a like, you know, subscribe to the channel, and I would see you when you see me.